Hey, welcome to Hey How's That Work with Luca. I'm Luca. Statistics indicate that I will probably continue to be Luca in the near future. The far future it becomes exponentially less likely. We'll see about that. Today, we're going to be learning about what happens when you regulate your watch. Your watch isn't always perfect at keeping time. Sometimes you have to fiddle with it to make it keep time better. And that's what regulating is. Also, little known fact, bet you didn't know that Warren G and Nate Dogg were actually amateur horologists. And that's what this song Regulate is about. You can tell because there are both the words regulate and Rolex in the song, which could only lead to the conclusion that they're talking about regulating Rolexes, clearly. So let's go take a look at this right now. Oh yeah, okay. So, regulating your watch. What is it? How's it work? Why do you do that? Here we go. When your watch goes in to be serviced, when it's getting its little watch spa day, whether at the end of the service interval or you goofed and you hit your watch on something, or I don't know, it's not keeping time very well, it's gonna go in to get serviced at an approved service center. While it's there, regulation is going to be one of the things that is done. In addition to like cleaning, replacing parts, all these things are happening, but regulating it's the important one. It's the thing that helps your watch stay precise when keeping time. It's your balance wheel and all that jazz. That's the whole reason your watch keeps good time. And if it's not keeping good time, it's almost definitely because of that. And actually, to show kind of what's happening in regulating, I'm going to regulate a watch today and show you in real time what's happening when your watch is getting regulated. Before we dive right into that, we need to have a quick little look at our vocabulary list. That's just some terms that you need to know to kind of make sense of exactly what's going on. I mean, it'll still make sense, but it'd make more sense. So here's those terms. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the balance. That's this flywheel boy. Then you're going to have the balance spring. That's the spring attached to the balance. On the other end of this, we're going to have the balance cock. That's what it's called. You're going to have the collet, the stud, the mobile stud holder, or stud carrier, depends on who you're asking, the curb or index pins, and the index. So, when we're regulating a watch, what's going to be happening is we're going to be changing the active length of the balance spring. When you change the active length of the balance spring, you are basically speeding up or slowing down the oscillations. The oscillations are the measurement your watch uses to subdivide seconds into a measurable, regular interval. That's important because that interval is basically how your watch keeps time. If it's too fast, well, your watch is too fast. If it's too slow, I'm gonna let you guess what's gonna happen. Your watch is gonna be too fast again. Tricked ya, haha! No, it's gonna be too slow. So when I'm doing this, I'm gonna be using a couple tools that I'll just go ahead and show you right here. This is my Chronomaster, sweet Chronomaster. This is actually what you put the watch on. It actually has a little microphone in here, and it measures the beats or the little clicks from when your pallet fork is hitting it, the ticking of the watch. It measures the space between those ticks and a whole bunch of other stuff and gives me a little readout I can look at. Before this, you actually had to have all kinds of crazy equipment. And if you want to see some of that equipment, we actually have a great video with two of our watchmakers, Charlie and Travis, showing some of that crazy equipment. So you can see how hard this probably used to have had to be. Go look at that. So this is what will be used to read all this jazz. These will be microstellas. There's little microstella wrenches. And these will be used to open and close the weights on the outside of the balance wheel, depending on what brand it is. Some have their weights in the inside, some have their weights on the outside, some have them on the top, some have all kinds of stuff. You've got a handle, of course. Attached to that handle is a funky shaped wrench, and that is shaped this way so you can get over the edge of the watch, but inside to that weight on the side of the balance wheel. This will essentially turn the weight on the edge of the balance wheel closer to the balance wheel or further away. If you think of like an ice skater, and you think of the ice skater when they're spinning with their arms out, they're going to spin slower than they would if their arms were in because of the centripetal force. So that's what's happening when we are adjusting the weights on the outside of the balance wheel. Some watches are regulated by screwing in and out the weights on the balance wheel, and some watches are regulated by directly manipulating the spring. Not the spring itself, but there's actually a little arm that sticks out that holds onto the end of the spring, and that you can do with tweezers or a screwdriver, so it doesn't need any special tools. All right, so through some sort of 21st century witchcraft, you can now see this watch I'm working on, and you can see my screen that I look at when I'm regulating watches. So this is your, while I'm working on a chronomaster, this is the chronoscope. Down here, first thing we'll check is we have our lift angle. If you were to take the balance wheel and you cut out the portion of the balance wheel where the pallet fork is touching the impulse pin, the degree measurement of that portion will be your lift angle. And so that's important because that's how I'm going to be able to test this watch specifically. If it were, say, a coaxial, I'd actually change that to a 38-degree lift angle, which would change all of these readings entirely, and this thing will be running completely different. So you need to know your lift angle before you can do any regulating. So 52 degrees, that's what we got for most of your Rolexes. In fact, just a lot of movements will be 52. I would say the majority. So up here, you're going to see the first thing is going to be your amplitude. Your amplitude is the maximum displacement of your balance wheel. And so displacement is the angle between a position of rest and a random place on your balance wheel. So your amplitude is the most that the wheel will turn from that position of rest. So you'll see 316, this is actually pretty good. Of course, you can't get higher than 360 because it's a circle. So that means it's gonna come all the way back around. And if you're getting an amplitude of 360, you're in trouble. Right here is going to be the beat. The beat is a little harder to imagine, but if you look at the spring, and if you can kind of see on the outside here, you'll kind of see the spring when it expands, it will balloon out and it contracts. And so you want that to be even. So when you're changing the beat, you're changing the amount of impulse to either side, for lack of a better term. And this will all make a little more sense when I get in there and change this around. Here is going to be the rate. This is going to be the amount of seconds per day that you're gaining or losing. So right now you can see this watch is losing 138 seconds a day. So it's not doing too hot right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust this. So the first thing that you always adjust is you're going to do the beat. When you change the beat, that can often affect the rate. So you wanna make sure to do that first. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to change, this is the index right here, remember? So I'm going to first move the index, and when I do that, you'll see the lines on the screen close up a little bit. So when I move that, let's see, you can actually see, you'll see this trailing edge right here. This is the new measurement coming in, and that didn't change it a whole lot. See, I might have actually, yeah, I actually opened up the beat, so I need to close this up more. And what I'm looking for is a perfect straight line. Okay, so now you see when I did that, you can actually see the change right there. Those two lines squeezed in together. It's dropping down, and you can see every time I do that, the rate changes. So if you were to do your rate before your beat, well, you're gonna have to do your rate again. And that is wasted motion. Okay, so now we can see how we're getting that nice, mostly straight line in there. That's gonna mean our beat is about where we wanna get it. The closer to 0.0 you can get it, the better, but 0.1 is pretty good. I'm not gonna kill myself trying to get there. So now I'm going to change the rate. So how I would do that is I'm going to move the stud carrier, the stud right here. This is attached to the very end of the spring. So I will move this to gain a little bit, and you can see immediately when I touch that, this line kind of straightened out a little bit. So look at that, we're going down, we're getting close to where we want to go. So I'm gonna move that just a touch more. That should be right on the money. A little slow. Huh. All right. So now we can see we're all in the green. It's all pretty good. This will continue to change a little bit as this kind of gathers more information, but that seems to be pretty good. It's a little, no, that's about perfect. Okay, so we've done that in one position. Now the key to regulation is you want to check multiple positions. Specifically, you want to check the pendant positions. So now the watch is being tested in a pendant position. This is crown down. You can actually see all of these are positions you would test them in. When you're doing a service, you will test them in 5 or 6 positions. Right now we're in crown down because, well, the crown is pointing down. Wow, watchmaking. So this is actually running pretty well right here. So now we are testing this in crown up. You can see it's getting a little slower here. So I don't actually like that. I think I'd like to bring this rate up just a touch. And that is actually where our handy dandy rate adjusty boy, screw right here, will come in. Now I don't want to move it too much, because if I move this too much, then the average will be out. So you want to have a good average between all of these positions. So for now, I think that this is good. I'm going to take this. What we would do is I'd put it into a sequence, and then I would get this all spelled out for me. And that is how you regulate a watch. Now that I've done all this work to get the watch nice and regulated, you'll notice this is a little fast, but if you remember those other positions, we'll have it at say 0 to -1, which will average it out. But, so look at this line here. This is real nice and even. Now I'm going to show you why it's important to keep your watch away from magnets and not to hit it on random things. Don't go around hitting random things with your watch, please. These are magnets, and I'm going to get these close to the balance wheel, and as they get close, if you actually watch the rate on the screen, you can notice when it starts to get close, it's going to start to get crazy. Oh look at that. So you can see it going straight up. Move back out. Oh, look at that. So that's what magnetism will do to your rate. Now, wasn't that just a hoot? You move a bit and you move another bob, and wow, look at that, your watch is keeping good time again. Well, if you're out there living your day-to-day life and you wonder how something works and it happens to be watch related, you should leave it in the comments and we'll take a look at it, and if it is interesting and we could figure out how it works and it makes good video content, then we'll probably make a video about it and then we'll both know how it works. Isn't the internet beautiful? Well, I'll see you later. Goodbye now.